You are now watching The Meech.
To say Nintendo Switch Sports and Mario Strikers Battle League have quite the reputation on the channel would be the understatement of the century. They've been discussed so much that it seems like a downright obsession, but the thing is, these two games released only a little over a month apart and have very similar issues. It's not a case like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet where the problems are unlike anything seen before in Nintendo games, because the main issue boils down to the severe lack of content, more so in Battle League's case. But Switch Sports certainly wasn't packing either, and it wasn't even strapping either because it didn't even let you use the leg strap accessory that came bundled with the game. You had to wait for the update, and let me tell you, when that update dropped, it was a momentous occasion. I declare July 26th to be National Leg Strap Day, but there was an update of far greater proportions on the horizon. Golf. Getting golf in Nintendo Switch Sports. It was so epic that it simply couldn't handle a fall release and was delayed to the winter, but after an agonizing 7 months, it is finally here. Mario Strikers Battle League, on the other hand, just got its final DLC. We didn't know what it was going to include, but I had a pretty good idea based on prior waves. Considering the main issue is a lack of content with these games, the issue could actually be resolved with additional content. It's not a practice I approve of by any stretch of the imagination, but unfortunately, it is what it is. But for this video, I went back to these games with an open mind, solely judging them in their current states. Are the games finally finished? And more importantly, are they actually good? Let's start with Nintendo Switch Sports. The thing is, it actually does have an ample amount of content in one area, and that is with the accessories and outfits for the sportsmates. By playing online, you can unlock many different outfits, some which drastically change the character design. They had the squirrel and shark before, but they now have, and I kid you not, an anthropomorphic hamburger that you can play as. He even has french fries for arms. Fast food is the absolute last thing I'd associate with fitness, unless it's fitting this highly unhealthy food in a mukbang YouTuber's mouth. But I won't deny, this is actually a cool character. I also like the snowman they have. Never would I think to use leaves for a mustache. How clever. The good news is that there are some genuinely good unlockables, but the problem is, they're all tied to the online and can only be obtained randomly. You'll have to grind for hours to get everything, and to make matters worse, you have no way of knowing when the items will become available again, because they rotate. I don't know what happened to the days of actually unlocking content in the base game, and if everything was unlockable at all times and available offline, I might be singing a different tune, because there is next to nothing to do outside of online. But that could very well change, considering we now have the brand new, revolutionary sport, golf. Considering that it not only took 7 months, but needed a delay, this could very well be the most incredible game of golf ever conceived by mankind. Let's check it out. I have a lot to say about Nintendo Switch Sports, but what I can say for certain here is that this is golf. It's exactly what you'd expect. You swing the Joy-Con like a golf club and aim for the lowest score. Gameplay-wise, it's actually pretty solid. When you bring the Joy-Con back, you actually get a distance indicator with the Joy-Con's HD rumble. Mechanically, it's actually rock solid. The controls are great and very responsive, and overall, golfing feels really good. Golf is easily the best sport in Nintendo Switch Sports, but the main selling point is with the online survival golf. This is essentially a Battle Royale golf mode, and it's pretty funny that Switch Sports manages to have 2 Battle Royale modes, while Splatoon 3 couldn't manage to have one, let alone an actual new mode. But what is survival golf like? Basically how it works is 8 golfers go head to head, and whoever gets the most points will be able to advance. And yes, the most points. Your goal is still to get a low score, but it's converted to points, so essentially, you're trying to be the last man standing. Since there are 8 players, you could end up spectating in the early rounds quite a bit. It would be nice if they included a minigame or something to do while you wait, but it's mainly just a problem at the beginning. It starts ramping up during the semifinals, and it's actually pretty fun. And the online is perfect with no lag. So overall, golf is actually pretty good. Now let's listen to some of these satisfied customers. George W. Bush here, 43rd President of the United States. Haven't enjoyed video golf before, but I gotta say, this game's fantastic. Watch this drive. I misunderestimated the video game medium, but it's proven to be a dang good time. With excellent golf courses, engaging gameplay, and an entire story mode, this game has proven it deserves the W seal of approval. How could I not love a golf game where you can golf as a green dinosaur? Wait, you're trying to tell me I'm actually talking about Mario Golf Advanced Tour instead of Nintendo Switch Sports? Seems like I'm talking about the wrong game. Wouldn't be the first time I got the wrong information. Golf is solid, but unfortunately, it couldn't even manage to be the hole-in-one Nintendo Switch Sports desperately needed. Out of the sports, the presentation here is the best. I'm not a fan of Spoko Square, considering that it's essentially a convention center. Woohoo Center Marriott, if you will. But here, the scenery actually looks quite appealing. To be fair, you do kinda need to have a field for golf, and I couldn't imagine it taking place at a Dillard's. Maybe if Nintendo was willing to be creative here, they could have used one of the abandoned Sears and turned that into a golf course. But guess what? It turns out that none of the courses here are actually new. They're ripped directly from Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. It might not seem like a problem, but considering it took 7 months, I have no idea what took so long. The only new content is the online survival golf, which is essentially like Battle Royale golf. Similar to bowling, and it really doesn't change anything. The only truly new content is the advanced course. A new course? I thought you said they didn't have any. Yeah, because I don't know about you, but what golf course is only 3 holes? I still can't believe that this is something they couldn't manage to get in the base game, let alone having it delayed. But I'm not accounting for the absurd circumstances when it comes to the final verdict. And how can I put this? Nintendo Switch Sports is actually better with golf, even though it doesn't do anything revolutionary. Variety is something the game desperately needed, and golf is serviceable for that. Now to be fair, Nintendo didn't state golf would be the final update. Maybe they could add more sports? Could happen considering the game sold decently well, and it's pretty popular in Japan. But I'm at a point where I'm ready to close the book on the game, and I've concluded that while it is indeed better, it's still bad! You're better off playing any of the other Wii Sports games. They have more content, and they have a much livelier presentation. There is no way in hell Nintendo Switch Sports could top Wii Sports Resort. Heck, even Wii Sports Club. Because at the end of the day, the gameplay is simplified to the point of it not being intuitive, and it will forever have the dumb-looking sports mates in the spotlight.
It's not your opinion that you can walk through walls. You can't walk through walls. Just like it's not your opinion that these look good. They don't look good. They look like shit.
I look like shit today. I look like shit today. I look like shit today. I look like shit today.
Nintendo Switch Sports is a unique case where the game is such a mess that it's actually hilarious. How you can botch Wii Sports is beyond me. Finding out a way to mess up Wii Sports is actually quite an accomplishment, but unfortunately, Mario Strikers Battle League doesn't have the luxury of being funny, because this game legitimately pisses me off. The thing with Mario Strikers Battle League is that the way it launched was downright insulting. Switch Sports at least had some variety, but Battle League literally had no single-player content, no unlockables outside of gear, an abysmal roster, and no unique stadiums. But what Mario Strikers had over Switch Sports is a solid gameplay foundation. There was actually potential, and the addition of content could have fixed the major issue. The question is, did it? Mario Strikers Battle League got its first update in July of 2022. About a month after the game launched, mere weeks after the game launched, fans were getting impatient for more content, and our first update gave us the groundbreaking, quote-unquote, additions of Shy Guy and Daisy. Man, I am so glad they finally added Daisy. I'm so excited. I'm gonna change my profile picture to Daisy right away. Like I said, I won't judge the actual updates based on what should have been in the base game, just what we actually got. But man, giving this game a break is going to be increasingly difficult to do. Added Daisy. Added Daisy. That's like adding Knuckles to a Sonic racing game, or adding Coco Bandicoot to Crash Team Racing. But what do these characters actually add? It's good to finally have the option to play as Daisy and Shy Guy, and they actually do look quite good. There's also some additional gear based on a night. Looks pretty cool as well. But then we have a new stadium based on the desert. I will say, it's quite fitting considering Daisy's the princess of Sarasaland, and in the cutscenes, it looks pretty cool. At the time, it was the most visually distinct stadium. But guess what? They couldn't even bother to change the terrain from grass to something like sand. You're essentially getting sand-colored grass, so do any of these additions truly add content? No, they don't. But hey, sometimes the beginning is rough. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe also had a pretty nasty first wave when it came to the DLC, so maybe we'll see a Mario Strikers Battle League Redemption arc with the second wave. The second update followed a very similar format, including 2 additional characters, a new stadium, and a new set of gear. And whoa, what's this? An actual new character? In addition to Diddy Kong, Pauline makes her Strikers debut. Pauline is in my top 5 favorite Mario characters, and is easily my favorite Mario girl. I wouldn't say I've ever had a waifu, because I like my girls how I like my Pokemon Game Boy Advance games. Real. But Pauline definitely has made me question that mindset. Let's think about it. She got kidnapped by Donkey Kong, eventually had enough, and decided to pursue music and become a mayor of a major city. And she's hot too. Mario, you missed out. And the good news is that Pauline in Strikers is incredible. She looks great and has some excellent animations. But here's my issue. Why does Pauline have to only be playable in games I don't want to play and Mario Kart Tour? If anything, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe would highly benefit from additional characters, and Diddy Kong is another character that game could use. Let's make a deal. Let's trade the characters here to get the precious element found in 8 Deluxe that is not present here. Actual freaking variety! Because once again, the stage being a planetoid doesn't change anything. Just the background and the cutscenes, and it easily could have had a distinction. Why not have something like anti-gravity, maybe making the ball floatier? Nah, purple grass is where it's at! It's literally just purple grass, and there's more gear. Yippee! To be fair, it does look kinda cool, but gear is an idea just to say it's an idea. All it does is change the stats of a character to that of another character. Don't get me wrong, costumes are great, but when that's your primary new idea, that's pretty abysmal. Perhaps 3's the charm, please! Wave 3 Redemption Arc, let's go! Wave 3 once again follows a similar format. 2 new characters, new gear, and a new stage. The new characters are Bowser Jr. and surprisingly Birdo. Bowser Jr., Birdo, and Diddy Kong are characters that have gotten quite the resurgence, which is a good thing. And considering Birdo was a sidekick prior, I thought it would be cool to see Birdo have a rainbow of different colors, just like Yoshi, Toad, and Shy Guy. But no, they couldn't even bother to do that. That's something even Super Mario Strikers had. You might think I'm grasping for straws, but there actually have to be some straws for me to grasp. Just like the other characters, they look great and have some fun animations. Gear is decently fun as well. But does any of it add any variety? And did they finally add a different stage? Let's see. No! It's just teal grass! Nintendo confirmed this is the final update. This is it! This is Mario Strikers Battle League. The roster was a huge problem. By no means can I call the final roster good, but at its best, it's serviceable. But none of the updates even attempted to address Battle League's main issue being the complete and utter lack of any variety. The roster was the main talking point, but I think the stadiums were the far greater issue. Not only do they only change the color of the grass, but they all play the same. None of them have fun gimmicks or stage hazards. How hard would it be to have something like Sandmars popping out of the sand you'd have to avoid in the desert stage? Or maybe some anti-gravity in the planetoid one? Having ghosts in Luigi's Mansion, that's what separates Mario sports games from sports games. If the stages had gimmicks and had theming that did more than just change the color of the grass, that right there would solve Battle League's biggest issue. But what you're left with is a game that only has one mode, one stage, and 16 characters. And the characters don't even have special abilities or anything to set them apart other than the stats. I've seen some argue that having gimmicks would make the game too chaotic. Maybe it could for you, but guess what? You could just turn them off. I don't understand the mindset that gimmicks are inherently bad, considering that they're almost always optional in these kind of games and make the experience far more fun and varied. Maybe they weren't implemented the best in Mario Strikers Charge, but that doesn't mean they couldn't be implemented better for a future game. And conversely, I've seen many defend Battle League's lack of content, stating that Mario Strikers wasn't known for having a lot of content, so Battle League is about the same and it's a-okay, because obviously, the Diego guy knows what he's talking about. Just because a prior game did something, doesn't mean it should be repeated. I went back to the original Super Mario Strikers just to see what it was like, and guess what? The content there is lacking as well. The stadiums all play the same, but at least they have distinct theming. There's not even music, and the roster there is small as well. I'm gonna be blunt here. Super Mario Strikers is pretty middle of the road. It's a blast to play, but it doesn't have much variety and shares similar issues to Battle League. But repeating the same mistakes doesn't make it okay. I'd actually say it's worse. But going back to Mario Strikers Battle League, it was actually harder to go back to than I expected, because I've recently been playing Super Mario Strikers on the GameCube, and the gameplay there is just overall better. There are more items, it's much faster paced, there's more personality, and the controls are much easier to comprehend. Battle League in comparison just feels clunky and it doesn't feel good. Now the thing is, I didn't grow up with Mario Strikers like many did, but I can recognize when a prior game does something better because I'm overall having more fun. None of this applies to Mario Strikers Charge, by the way. That game had the gameplay and variety, with a gritty presentation to boot. Both Nintendo Switch Sports and Mario Strikers Battle League are indeed bad games, but in the case of Switch Sports, Golf at least brought the game up a little bit, so I can say that that one is definitely better now. But Battle League is virtually the same as it was when it launched. So in a way, Nintendo Switch Sports was fixed, but Mario Strikers Battle League absolutely did not get better. And that concludes the nearly year-long circus being the Nintendo Switch Sports Mario Strikers Battle League saga. Considering the significance of these two games on the channel, I think some closure before the send-off was necessary. But it also goes to showcase the finish it later model never, and I repeat never works, considering that nobody besides me is really talking about these games anymore, and they were forgotten within a few weeks. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments and keep calm and da-da on.